Hi, it's Thursday of North Week, which is a big day in the Oxford University calendar, and I'm going to celebrate it by walking from WHSmith to the examination schools. People who've been at the university will probably know or be able to work out what this is about, although the fact that everything's going digital might make that a bit harder than it once was. And I'll explain on the way. So I guess most people know that WHSmith is a stationer. So it sells pens and sheets of card and notepads and such like. And 1 week when these get put to a lot of use is what's called North Week. The university has a slightly idiosyncratic week numbering system for when it's term. Students have formal lectures and tutorials between first week and 8th week inclusive, and they have to be here by Thursday of North Week, which is today. That's in the university regulations, and that applies every term. And there are 3 terms called Michaelmas, Hilary and Trinity, which everybody else would call autumn, spring and summer, though generally speaking Hilary feels more like winter. Well, I suppose actually it is mainly winter because it ends in mid-March. It's not a very welcoming term. So the first term that new students see is Michaelmas, this one, and the first day that all the students, new or otherwise, have to be here is today, Thursday of North Week in Michaelmas. New students, I think, these days have to be around by Monday of North Week or so. I'm not sure about that. When I was here, it wasn't quite so formal, and it was fine to be here by Thursday of North Week. So that's Cornmarket I've just walked through. This is Carfax Tower, that is. Some sort of street cleaning over there. That's St Aldate's with Christ Church and the Town Hall on the left. And that's the High Street, and I'm going to walk down the High Street. And there may well have been a fair number of people earlier this week carrying stationery from WHSmith's down the High Street to the examination schools, which is where I'm going to end up. It's also possible that 1 or 2 of them were carrying stationery from Ryman's, which is another stationer's down there.
Yep.
So with all the students, Oxford is quite a bit busier than it has been, and we'll see them again.
Literally the both of you combined in one person.
I hope you're not recording me.
Se sente un po' di tachicardia pensa che è un problema al cuore. Sente che One said.
I think this will be
然后我说跟你们说了，一定起来，然后吃饭。
Okay, so this building is the examination schools. It houses offices concerned with the administration and organisation of the university's exams, and it also has rooms where the exams themselves can be held, particularly finals, the exams that happen at the end of one's final year. Some exams, I think there's not enough space here to hold all the exams, so some of the less important ones get delegated to other spaces. Anyway, this is the exam schools, and most members of the university, or most ex-students, will have fond or possibly not so fond memories of doing finals here and then waiting anxiously to find out what the results would be. But the exam schools is used for other things. I showed one of those things during the summer when I videoed some filming and saw horses stabled in the quadrangle of the schools. I must say that's the first time I've ever seen that. It's possible that it was for filming young Sherlock. That would seem to be about the right time period and ambience, but I'm not sure. Another thing that the exam schools is used for is Freshers' Fair, which is where university societies advertise their wares to, well, I think it was originally set up for new students, but any student of the university can come, and there are a few doing so now, though it's getting towards the end. This year, Freshers' Fair was held on the 9th and 10th of October. The 10th is today, and the sessions finish at 4, so that there's time for clearing up. Yesterday they went on till 5, and it looks as though the activity is sort of tailing off now, though there are still people going in and out of the schools. But anyway, these two days are big days in the life of the students, big days in the university calendar. And I walked from Smith's as a way of celebrating the general sort of ricketiness and make-do-ness of the stalls. Once upon a time, before digital stuff, stallholders would have taken the names of people who wanted to join their societies, or at least wanted information, and they'd have done so by having the names written down on paper. These days, it's much more convenient to take them digitally, and in fact the student union discourages them from being taken on paper because I gather it's more risky from the point of view of data protection. But student names are not the only thing. People, stallholders, may want to put up posters and other displays. They may want to attach posters to things, and big sheets of card are ideal for that. So when I was doing this, there was certainly a run on those in the local stationers, and WHSmith was the main stationer, though you could also get pretty good card from the art shop in Broad Street. And things like blue tack and sellotape and masking tape and felt tip pens for making impromptu corrections to wrongly printed flyers and all that sort of stuff. So you would see people tottering along the high street with boxes of flyers, pieces of card and all sorts of other stuff. Some of this will have been made digital, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's still quite a bit of paper in use. Just to say that the exam schools were designed by Thomas Jackson. I think the initial design came out in 1876 and building finished in 1882. He is famous for other buildings, including the Bridge of Sighs, and my favourite, the cricket pavilion in the parks. I've said before, I like that pavilion because it's a nice, simple, elegant design. By contrast, I find the Bridge of Sighs and the exam schools rather ponderous somehow. So what sort of societies does one find? Basically everything. And if you're interested, just Google Oxford University Student Societies or similar. Although most of them have their join-up pages protected, so they're only accessible by university members. The description of the societies seems to be accessible to anybody. It's not blocked by having to have a university passcode or anything. At least it wasn't when I tried. There are sports societies, of course, football, athletics, baseball, basketball, running, you name it, you'll find it. And there are the well-known societies. Probably the first one that everybody thinks of is the debating society, the Oxford Union. And there are also societies like OUDS, the Oxford University Dramatic Society. And just reading a random selection from the S's on the University Societies page, I noticed the Scottish Society, the Sikh Society, Star Wars, Space and Astronomy, Sustainable Finance, and Syria. And here are a few that I noted in a bit more detail. Oxford Alternative Protein Society, which is an interesting title, and that's concerned with promoting knowledge and practice of alternative protein sources. So it's things like plant-based milks, oat milk, almond milk and so on, and lab-grown meat. and they find speakers on current industrial practice and new directions in research, chemistry, biochemistry, and such things. Oxford Climate Justice Society, which is pressurising the university to cut all its ties with oil and other extractive fossil fuel business. The Oxford University Marxist Society, I think that speaks for itself. The Oxford University Labour Society, the Oxford University Conservative Society, the Oxford University Wine Society, which advertises itself as holding weekly tastings for around 50 students, with 6 to 8 wines available at each tasting. There's an Oxford University Coffee Society, but it only seemed to have a Facebook page, and I have trouble with Facebook because it always captures my web browser and won't let it go. So I'm not quite sure what the Coffee Society does, but it's probably very much like the Wine Society. There's a Baking Society which promotes interest in baking, including recipes, including how to do it, but also just sort of baking-oriented events like watching the bake-offs. And there's a Bread Society which helps with recipes for things like sourdough and focaccia and pizza. There used to be a Banana Society, Banana Appreciation Society. I remember it as having a huge plastic banana that they displayed on their desk, on their stall, but I never really found out what it did. A food-based society of a completely different kind that I noticed is the Oxford Nutri-Tank Society, and according to its advertising, it's an Oxford branch of a nationwide student initiative which empowers medical students to advise their future patients on nutritional and lifestyle medicine. The founders of the society decided that these were not well represented in traditional medical courses, and that they should do something to help people taking these courses. And one more, not nutrition. I noticed there's an Oxford Guild of Assassins which holds, it says, week-long games including hunting down targets across the whole of Oxford, shootouts in the university parks, and setting traps for your enemies, and sending poisoned letters to your foes. There's a disclaimer at the end of their advertising saying that if you have a genuine desire to kill your enemies, you should seek professional help. This reminds me sort of very vaguely that there used to be an Oxford University Dangerous Sports Society started by the chap who invented bungee jumping, David Kirke, Kirke, and they advertised strange events like tea parties, holding tea parties on the rim of Mount Etna. I didn't find them on the list this year, however. And one story, the exam schools have very strict regulations about what you can and can't do as a stallholder and as a fairgoer. Students going to the Freshers' Fair are not allowed to take their own bags in. It's a so-called bag-free event, and stallholders are not allowed to attach any object to the wall of the exam schools, including posters, and they're not allowed to bring food into the schools. It's possible that one reason for those restrictions is something that I once saw happen. There is or was an Oxford University yacht club. Now the stallholders get fairly small tables to set out their wares. They're just big enough to accommodate a laptop, a pile of flyers, maybe a book or two, and some signing up sheets, even if these are not needed anymore. But one year the yacht club decided to bring along a yacht. I'm not sure whether you could have fitted it on any reasonable number of stalls, but they obviously had plans to put it somewhere in the schools. Only it got stuck. The exhibition room, or the room that was being used for the exhibition, was on the first floor, with a sort of half-spiral staircase leading up to it, a staircase with a turn in it, and the yacht got stuck on the staircase in the manner of a settee in one of those comedy films, and it couldn't be got up and it couldn't be got down, and there were not enough people from the yacht club to deal with this. There were people standing outside the schools shouting, "Is anybody from the yacht club here? We urgently need somebody from the yacht club." And the reason for that was that it wasn't just affecting the fairgoers. Like today, the colleges had been allocated slots, time slots, so that if you were at Jesus College, say, you had to go between 9 and 10, and if you were at Somerville, you had to go between 10 and 11. So students were arriving to fit their time slot and couldn't get up the stairs, so a queue was building. And the queue eventually got big enough that it spilled all the way across the high street, here. So traffic was blocked. The buses were blocked, all because of a yacht in schools. The yacht did eventually get removed, but not without a lot of pain. Okay, so that's Freshers' Fair. 9th of October, 10th of October, Wednesday and Thursday of North Week, and all the students have to be back today. And I'll mention one more society which really seems worth encouraging to make sure that this kind of event continues. The Society of Aging and Longevity, which highlights and discusses novel research and development in aging, and advises on research and its translation into usable products and practices. Okay, I'll see you next time.